The prompt for day 3 of Inktober was crown. There were several ways I could go with this, and I had no idea what I was going to do when I first started thinking about it. I thought about doing a simple cartoony crown, something like the crown that Prince John wears in the Disney Robin Hood cartoon from way back when, or maybe the crown from King George III in Hamilton. Both would have been fun and comical. But then I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. So instead of those, I decided to draw Aragorn's crown from the film Return of the King. It hadn't occurred to me to draw the crown that Tolkien described in the book. That would have been interesting, but in any case, it was easier to find a picture of the crown from the movie, so that's what I did. I talked a little bit about this in the sketching video I did earlier, so you can go check that out. But for now, sit back and while you watch, I'll give you a little bit of Lord of the Rings lore. In the film The Return of the King, Gimli brings Gandalf the crown of Gondor, Aragorn's crown, who then places it on Aragorn's head and says, "Now come the days of the king, and may they be blessed." Aragorn sings and starts to walk down through the crowd. He comes across the four hobbits who start to bow down to Aragorn, but he says, "My friends, you bow to no one." He proceeds to bow down to them instead, and the crowd follows suit. Tolkien, however, describes this scene differently in the book. Instead of Gimli bringing Gandalf the crown, Tolkien writes, Faramir opened the casket and he held up an ancient crown. Kind of weird, but the custom was for the king to receive the crown from his father or to retrieve it from his father's tomb and crown himself. But since the situation was different for Aragorn, it was Faramir who retrieves the crown from the tomb of Eärnur, the last king of Gondor, before the stewards took over. This is a major change, and why they did this change is not discussed by the filmmakers as far as I can tell. I don't remember it being talked about in the Lord of the Rings special feature DVDs. The internet has some ideas, but the real reason I think is not known, so I won't speculate. So anyway, Faramir hands Aragorn the crown, and Aragorn says, and I'm probably going to butcher this really bad, but I'll try. Et erlo endorena utulien sinomi maruvan ar hildinyar ten ambarmeta, which means, out of the great sea to Middle Earth I am come. In this place I will abide, and my heirs unto the ending of the world. And this is what Aragorn sings in the movie too. Aragorn's ancestor, Elendil, spoke these words when he came up out of the sea on the wings of the wind. Basically, he calls back on his ancestors. But instead of putting the crown on his own head, he hands it back to Faramir. In order for him to give it to Frodo, he gives it to Gandalf, who crowns Aragorn and says, "Now come the days of the king, and may they be blessed while the thrones of the Valar endure." Now about the crown itself. Tolkien describes it like so. It was shaped like the helms of the guards of the citadel, save that it was loftier, and it was all white, and the wings at either side were wrought of pearl and silver in the likeness of the wings of a sea bird, for it was the emblem of kings who came over the sea, and 7 gems of adamant, similar to diamonds, were set in the circlet, and upon its summit was set a single jewel, the light of which went up like a flame. As is clear in my drawing, the crown looks nothing like Tolkien's description in the book. In the movie, the crown is silver or steel maybe, and the wing motif mainly on the with the wing motif mainly on the front and back, but also a tiny bit on the sides. Mainly the sides of the crown have a tree slash branch motif, perhaps referencing the white tree of Gondor. According to the special features in the Lord of the Rings DVDs, the original design for the crown was too heavy and too wide for Viggo Mortensen's head. Also, the elaborate crown that they had fashioned after Tolkien's description had apparently broken just before filming, and so they had to use an alternate version, which is what we see in the film. And that is what I'm drawing here. So what does it mean for Middle-earth now that Aragorn is king? The film doesn't go into how he reigns, but instead follows the hobbits. Aragorn and everyone else's part in the story ends here pretty much. For Aragorn, though, Tolkien writes in the book, in his time the city, Minas Tirith, was made more fair than it had ever been, even in the days of its first glory, and it was filled with trees and with fountains, and its gates were wrought of mithril and steel, and its streets were paved with white marble. And the folk of the mountain labored in it, and the folk of the wood rejoiced to come there, and all was healed and made good, and the houses were filled with men and women, and the laughter of children, and no window was blind, nor any courtyard empty. And after the ending of the third age of the world into the new age, it preserved the memory and the glory of the years that were gone. Basically, King Elisar, a name that was given to him previously, which means Elfstone, made Minas Tirith good and beautiful again. It is implied that he made the whole kingdom like this. He was also a just ruler and had several good relations with all the races. He pardoned and made peace with several of the previous enemies. He was a great king. There's so much more history and lore to dive into, but we don't have the time. I would love to hear your thoughts on the differences between the Lord of the Rings movies and books. Leave me a comment about it. And if you enjoyed this, please press the like button and of course subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next video.